So, what are some of the really common changes I've seen in lifting styles in the gym of 25 years ago versus today? And people seem to like these, so I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. Every time I make one of these historic videos, people chime in, "Oh man, I really like the history here." And it's funny to me because it's not really history. This is just part of what lifting was when I was younger. So, yeah, it seems like people enjoy these little things. So, let's continue to talk about this. Some of the changes I've seen in training, and again, I'm one of the people out there who was in the wave of people who were trying to push some stuff a little bit different. Say 12 years ago, 13 years ago on YouTube, based upon what a lot of evidence-based circles were doing. And so there's things that today people consider to be extremely normal that were not as common among serious lifters way back in the day. And I hate to say that way back in the day, 25 years ago, because I'm like, well, I guess I was 22. So there it is, right? Big ones, frequency and training to failure. All right. No one really trained muscle groups multiple times a week unless it was overlap. Meaning some people would choose to throw things on different days. Like, well, I like to train my biceps with my chest and my triceps with my lats. Okay. Outside of situations like that, most people really did body part splits. Upper, lowers, full body, this sort of stuff came into vogue a little bit later. Now, historically, full body was definitely the norm, say the 50s, the 60s. But by the time the 70s got around, and then all the way up through, right around the new millennium, around 2000, all of that, body part splits were the norm. Pretty much everyone trained on body part splits. Most power lifters, even to some extent, you saw a lot of squat, bench, deadlift days, which is basically a body part split, isn't it? So you would see that with accessory work, and you did see the West Side guys doing upper lowers. We saw stuff coming out of the Russian programming with really high frequency things, so that was a little bit different. But setting that aside, body part splits were the norm, and plenty of strength athletes still train that way. There were plenty of even powerlifting champions who really trained a bodybuilding split, right? The squat, bench, deadlift days. And then sometimes they would have like a fourth day for other accessories. So we would see a lot of that. That was really normal. So people either tended to do just full body or they did body part splits, right? And a lot of us started with full body stuff because we were told, you want to do that. You want to come in and squat a couple times a week. But a lot of us also still kind of split it up, so it was really normal from the old school stuff to do pullovers and on a squat day. And then people would have, bench day and back day and all that. So that was normal. But by and large, the overwhelming majority of people trained with body part splits, with a chest day, with an arm day. If they had an arm day, a lot of times they didn't. It would be, sometimes they would put chest with shoulders. You'd see that a lot. But you'd see triceps with chest. You would oftentimes see biceps with back, and then you'd see leg days. Some people would split those up, posterior chain versus other legs. But what was really common to see was 3 and 4 day splits were extremely common. Now you saw 5 days for people who considered themselves kind of serious bodybuilders. But normal splits that we used to see were things like, if they did a 3 day, it would be like chest, shoulders, triceps. Really common. Okay? And then back and biceps, and then a leg day. So you saw a lot of that. That was really normal. A lot of people who did 4 day, it would tend to either be, stuff like a chest and a triceps, back and a biceps, and then a shoulder day, and then a leg day. Or they would do shoulders with chest, right? We would see tons of that. And guys would come in and do what? They'd have an arm day. So you see like a chest and shoulder, you'd see a back day, you'd see an arm day, you'd see a leg day. Really common. Now, oftentimes this did occasionally lead to some disproportionate development. Some guys neglected legs. But we saw plenty of guys with lots of legs and big squats who only did legs once a week. We knew plenty of power lifters with big legs and big squats who only did legs once a week. They did squats, leg press, whatever they needed to do. Those were a big deal. Another one, everyone did the barbell lifts. Okay? Everybody did the barbell lifts. If they didn't deadlift, they at least did squats and bench press. And that was a kind of a thing back then. Everyone said, oh, you have to squat. It was not a case of, hey, I don't like squats. If you were serious about lifting and serious about getting jacked, including bodybuilders, you did back squats. That's why when you saw certain champions say they didn't like them, they were outliers. You know, like Dorian Yates, I prefer a Smith machine. I don't do a back squat. Okay, that was unusual. Because you take the other people, Ronnie Coleman did tons of squats. Right? Arnold Schwarzenegger did tons of squats. Squats were considered to be the king of exercises. And so was bench press, king of upper body, king of chest. And anyone who didn't like it loved dips. So you saw either people would either focus on dips or they would focus on bench press. And a lot of people would say the same thing, that dips were the squats for the upper body, like weighted dips. This was all really, really normal. And pullovers were still pretty common. First gym I ever went to, there were dudes in there doing pullovers at the end of their chest days. All right? And I knew some guys who had good physiques who they did pullovers religiously. They lived on them. They loved pullovers. All right, training to failure. Pretty much everyone trained to failure. The whole reps in reserve is a more common thing later. Back then, it was generally believed by most gym rats that if a set didn't go to failure, you didn't grow from it, that it counted as a warm-up. So sets beyond failure were extremely common, particularly if you had a spotter, anyone who had a workout partner. So people today see workout partners as motivation. That's not what workout partners were really used for. Workout partners are there to help you get forced reps. They were there to help you take sets to failure. That's mostly why people had workout partners back that I could tell. And that was the norm. That is just simply how everyone trained. That was how everyone trained. But yeah, so we saw the best classic barbell lifts tended to be there: squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press. They all tended to be in most people's workouts. People trained everything to failure most of the time. You know, temporary failure or beyond. Dorian Yates probably inspired a lot of the going beyond. So it was either drop sets, forced reps, all that stuff were extremely common. And everyone trained muscles really only once a week in terms of directly. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.